Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV. You're here with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. It's a beautiful spring day here. The sun's out, the birds singing, and it's a great day to head to the beach or go for a walk in nature. But anyway, we're here doing a radio television show instead, which is my favourite part of the week anyway, is to be able to connect with you all wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours. And, you know, as always, we follow a very similar format on my show every week, and we won't change that this week. But just before we do start, I just want to sort of thank everybody for, I know that everybody's been holding everybody in their prayers and in their thoughts and sending positive energy to all the people that have been affected by the weather events recently. And I'm sure that everybody in those areas has felt your love and has felt your concern and your prayers. And I just want to say a big thank you, because collectively together as all of us, we can make a difference in the world. And I know that our energy and our kind thoughts do reach those people that need it most. So kicking the show off this week, as we always do, we have the Simply Tarot card of the week. And this week is one of my favourite cards, and I'm pretty sure that it'll become one of your favourite cards too, because it's the Six of Pentacles. Now, the Six of Pentacles is a raise in money or salary. Now, I don't know a person on the planet, if they're truly being honest with themselves, that they don't like a little bit of extra money in their pocket to spend and have a good time and not have to stress or not have to worry. So this is a perfect card that leads me into what we're going to be talking about this week as far as our little glimpse around the universe, because this week we're actually celebrating the full moon in Aries. Now, you know, I know we have a full moon every month, and I know we talk about the moon quite often on this show, but why am I so excited about the full moon in Aries? Well, the full moon in Aries to me is one of the most powerful, dynamic, innovative moons of the year. It's one of my absolute favourites, and it's not just because it's in a fire sign. It's because it spells things that are new, that are fresh, that are a time in our lives when we can really co-create and release what we no longer need in our lives and draw towards us the things that we want to. So it's a time of the year, depending on which hemisphere you're in. I'm in the southern hemisphere, so for us it's our spring equinox. For those of you that are in the northern hemisphere, it's your fall or autumn equinox. So for those in the southern hemisphere, what does the spring equinox mean? It means it's our springtime. It's when we start to plant our crops and look forward to the bright, positive things that are coming our way. The weather's getting warmer. We're looking forward to summer and those lazy days at the beach or the swimming hole, and really sort of, you know, being able to decant ourselves of all our winter woolies and things like that, and just everything that's fresh and new. And for those of our family and friends and our dear friends over the other side of the hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere, for you guys, it's your time where you start to look for your celebrations that are connected with the harvesting of your crops, the fall or the autumn, depending on where you live in the world and how you use that season. But it's a time then when you're starting to gather all your goodies together, put them in the store cupboard, and get ready to bunker down for the cooler months ahead of you and the winter time, where you spend a lot more time indoors and reflecting and getting into crafts and arts and creative adventures. So we all have a very special time of the year. But why is it the full moon in Aries is so significant or so important? And it doesn't really matter which side of the hemisphere you're on. It's equally as important for everybody. For those of you that may not know anything about astrology, I'm going to sort of go back to some very basics here, because I think we sometimes lose sight of the very basic information, and we sort of forget that there's always a beginning point. Well, the beginning point in the astrological calendar or the zodiac or the star sign wheel, whatever label you want to put on it, is Aries. So Aries is the beginning. Aries is the first sign. So when we look at the very, very, very first full moon in the sign of Aries, and the only Aries full moon this year, I might say, it's denoting a beginning. It's denoting that we've had a previous 12 months where we've had to release, let go, look at things in our lives that no longer serve us, and we've released them on every other full moon. And we've looked at ways to try and improve our lives and be kinder to the people in our lives and around us. So now it's almost like a time of celebration. It's like, okay, I can exhale. I've exhaled all the negative, all the things that I've wanted to let go of. And it's like this full moon is a time where I'm only just sort of releasing maybe little bits and pieces that are left over. Maybe I'm releasing some new stuff that I've never actually needed to release before. But I feel an excitement in the year. And at the same time, it's almost like I feel excited, like I can start to attract or gather trinkets and things towards me that I wouldn't have been able to do previously on any other previous full moon. And the Aries energy is an energy of fire. It's a sign of me first. It's of pioneering. It's of energy. It's of everything that's new. It's about motivating yourself and the people around you to get up off the couch and let's do something different. We can either do it as an individual or we can collectively join hands and do it as a group. And some of you might want to wander off and do your own thing, and that's fine. And some of you will be there to the end, and that's fine too. But it's a time of great innovation. It's a time of great pioneering spirit. But we also have to be aware of the sun is in the sign of Libra. So it's the opposite sign to Aries. So the sun is sort of asking us to also make sure that we have the cooperation of others, that we do consider other people's feelings as well. Even though the Aries moon wants to sort of, leap ahead and sort of say me first and I'm powering ahead and I'm charging ahead because this is what I wants, we also have to consider what you might want. So it's a very, very powerful dynamic time. So if we're going to work with a full moon energy, I hear you ask, well, how do we go about it? I like to work on a 7-day cycle. I know the full moon has already been here in Australia active for about 14 hours. You'd be heading well and truly into it in the Northern Hemisphere now as well. So I like to start working on my moon cycles about 48 hours before the actual moon happens. So I look at 2 days before the full moon. I look at roughly 3 days of a full moon. The full moon technically only really goes for 2.5 days, but I work on a 3-day cycle. And then I like to work on a 2-day winding down cycle. So I like to work with my moon cycles in a 7-day cycle so that we've got the lead up, we've got the intense part of the cycle, and then we've got the coming down of the cycle. If you do that, I think you get more maximum mileage out of your moon, and you also allow it to sort of gradually pick up pace and momentum as it's going. So does it matter that we're already into the full moon and we're going to start working with the full moon cycle? No, it doesn't. And that's why I purposely didn't do this show last week. And I left it as we were already in the energy of the full moon in Aries, because I really wanted to be able to share with you the dynamic energy and how uplifted everybody's going to feel when we're actually in this moon cycle. And sometimes that's important too, because sometimes we come out of a really funky sort of energy where we feel very lost and depressed and tired and not able to sort of feel how we're doing, and we sort of think, oh dear, everything's so hard and I feel like I've got no motivation. But then bang, it goes into the full moon and all of a sudden it's like everybody's plugged us into the electricity socket and we're wired and we're ready to go and we're raring to pump energy, and we start to sort of notice things that people are starting to be sort of more positive. You even notice the commentators on the television are starting to talk differently. Things that were an issue a couple of days ago, now they're putting a positive spin on it instead of sort of such a negative, depressive one. So it really is an exciting time. So if we were going to work with a full moon energy, what would we need to do? I hear you ask. First thing you need to do is start writing a list. A list of the things that maybe you want to let go of. I suggest 3 things. You can put 23 things on the list if you want, but bearing in mind you're going to read this list out aloud every time you light your candles, so you might want to sort of condense it a little bit and look at it in a list of priorities. For me, it's been about releasing any sort of negative or residue energy that I might have gathered over the last 12 months that maybe I thought I dealt with and maybe I hadn't quite dealt with it. So that was the number one top thing at my list. And it was also about releasing any negative thoughts, anything that might be limiting or holding me back in where I personally need to be going in my life and in my work. And just because I work with energy every single day doesn't mean that I'm not human and that I don't have negative thoughts like everybody else on the planet, or sometimes get sick of it and want to do something different. We all have those. That's called being human. But at the end of the day, this is what I'm passionate about, and this is what I love to do, and I always bounce back to it. But what I'm trying to share with you is that we all have these thoughts from time to time, so don't beat yourself up about it. So my other thing on my list, my third thing on my list, was to release anything nasty that I might have thought about or said or even sort of randomly sort of made a statement about, and it came across that way in the last 12 months. I thought I'd release that too, because sometimes I'm very blunt and straight to the point, and sometimes I go back and I think, oh gee, I shouldn't have said it quite that way. I should have maybe made it sound a little bit softer. But you can't change who you are and how you're wired and the way that you speak. And for any fire sign, you'll know, sort of the words come tumbling out of your mouth first and you think later. And I'm very much a fire sign in that way. I suppose I've learned to moderate it a bit over the years that I've been on the planet, but not by much. And I don't make any excuses for that. But, every now and then I do a little release and say, please forgive me for that. So if we're working with the full moon, we've written our list of at least 3 things. You might then want to add another 3 things that you'd like to draw towards you. And that could be anything. It might be something new that you're starting. It might just be, let's keep it fresh. One of the things I wrote on my list of wanting what I would like to attract towards myself in the coming 12 months was to keep my work fresh, make it so that, I attract the right sort of people to the shows that I work on and the places that I work, that I can share with them some of my knowledge that will help empower them as individuals. And that's my wish for the next 12 months. So if we're working with one of my full moon candles, and I do have 27 in the range, I keep saying 28. I don't know whether that's a sign I'm going to create another candle, but at this point I wasn't planning to. We have 27 in the range. This is our full moon candle. It's an extra large candle. And what I do is I write the list out twice, particularly when we're working with the full moon energy, because I work with the full moon candle, write it out, I read it out aloud. As I'm going to light the candle, then I place the candle underneath with the list. Then I put it on a coaster, and then I put it on the furniture. I don't ever put a candle directly on the furniture without a cork coaster in between. There are 2 reasons why I do that. The glass container gets very hot, and you run the risk of scorching your very good timber furniture. And secondly, it also helps to insulate the glass container from the heat and the coolness that sometimes can be in the surface that we've put the candle on, and you've got less chance of the candle cracking. It's only happened to me probably twice in 10 years, but twice in 10 years it can happen. So I'm always aware of sharing that knowledge with people. I like to light one side of the wick one day and one side the next day. What that does is it gives you a much longer burn time of your candle. You'll get, instead of 50-hour burn time, you'll get up to 100-hour burn time out of it. So, and it also, I feel then, you've got less chance of the candle cracking, and also it makes it a much more economical purchase. I'm always about looking after our finances. We shouldn't squander or waste our resources. We can do as much with only lighting one side of the candle as we can with lighting both sides of the candle, as far as our intent, purpose and direction. So why would we squander and waste our resources? Yes, I could make smaller candles, and we did for a long time. But I found that they weren't as economical to produce as these are in a larger size, where, yes, you might pay a bit more money for it, but you've got it for a much longer period of time. So therefore, it makes your dollars stretch further. So that's our full moon candle. And we've already spoken about how often you would light that for the week. You would light it between 15 minutes to 2 hours per day. Then, because we're working with the Aries energy, this is our fire sign candle. Now, this is a fire sign candle that goes for all the fire signs. That includes Aries, Leo and Sagittarius. So when you purchase something like a fire sign candle, you can use that for 3 of your full moons. If you're going to be following the full moon each month and using the different energies, you would need to purchase your 4 astrology candles, and that would cover all your full moons and also your new moons for the year, and you'd just buy a full moon and a new moon candle. So again, same principle, 2 wicks, same principle applies. This is one of my absolute favourite candles, probably because I'm a Sagittarian, but it brings a smile to my face when I open that candle up and smell the fragrance. For those of you that want a smaller candle, these are our travel kits. These you can choose to make it up with any 3 candles you want from our 27 in the range. You can see this week I've made it up with 2 fire sign candles and a full moon candle in the middle. But you can choose whatever you'd like. Comes in this beautiful little gift box, so it makes a great gift for somebody. Or, as I said last week on the show, with the holiday seasons coming up, we had lots of orders last year for people that really bought up big on these little gift box sets, because they took the candle out and gave them as an individual gift to school teachers and people that they wanted to give a very personal gift to. So that's another suggestion as well. Then Now, we also have, for those of you that may not want to burn a candle or don't have the capabilities of being able to sit there and babysit the candle while it's alight, and these are wax warmers or melt warmers as they're called. This is an electric one, has a little button on the side that you can turn it off. I use these probably more than I do my candle, particularly when I'm not able to sit with the candle. I take a half a teaspoon of the wax out of my candle and put it in the melt warmer. Same principle applies. Write your list, pop it under the melt warmer, pop the melt warmer on a coaster, reading it out aloud. But the difference with this is you can leave this unattended. You could turn one of these on in the morning at home after you've read your list out for the day, and then just happily go about your day, or the same in the office. It's a much safer way of being able to achieve the same result. These retail here in Australia for around about $15 at the supermarket or your variety store, possibly cheaper overseas. So that's how we work with a candle. And it's interesting because each time that we start to work with our intent, purpose and direction, we do start to find the energy shifts in our lives, and we bring things towards us that we may not have been able to do as quickly or as easily by learning to work with the candle. And I know people say to me, oh, look, I'm time poor, Amanda, and, and I don't know if I've got time to do all these things. But once you get yourself into a little routine, as I have done, and I have a melt warmer in my office where it's just purely has protection, candle wax, soy wax in there, and that's all I put in that. And then my second melt warmer that I have in my dining room is where I change it weekly with whatever the energy is that I'm working with for the week. So you get into your little routines. And with the soy wax, it's easy to clean up. If you have an accident, you just clean it up with soap and water. People sort of say to me, well, how do you get the wax out of the top of your melt warmer? Well, I just pop mine, the little dish comes off it, and I just pop it in the freezer for a couple of minutes. The wax then goes hard, and I just get a plastic spoon or a knife, and it easily lifts off, and I wash it up in soapy water and rinse it and dry it, and then I'm ready to start again. So for those of you that might want to know how to work with your crystals, I'm not the person to ask. I'm not big on crystals. I don't really know how to look after them. I know lots of people talk about putting them out under the full moon, and some people take them to the beach. I do have crystals, but I don't really know how to work with them. I just buy things that I like. So I suppose I'm not the right person to ask about that. I do look after my crystal balls, though. That's a very different thing. And I usually try around the full moon to give them a little bath in salted water, or take them down to the beach and bathe them in the salty water and bring them home and rinse them, and just, that removes the dust. But other than that, that's the only ritual that I do with my crystal ball. I don't really do it with my crystals as such. I did read something yesterday where don't use your selenite and wash it in salty water because it melts it. So that might be a good tip. Anyway, moving along with the show, we're going to talk today about our famous person. We've been working with famous singers of the Zodiac, and this week we're up to the Capricorn female. Well, there's only one person that sprung to mind, and when I did the research, I was right that this person is a Capricorn, and it's Dolly Parton. I mean, what an amazing singer, songwriter, actress, businesswoman. I mean, she's motivated so many young women around the world with her beautiful, gorgeous blonde hair and her, her hourglass figure, and she never looks any older, Dolly. I don't know what her secret is, but she's got the eternal fountain of youth, that's for sure. And a lot of people say when you're a natural blonde, blondes might have more fun, or blondes are a bit ditzy or whatever. Well, I think Dolly's proved that theory wrong. She is not a dill. She's a very, very powerful entrepreneurial businesswoman. She has won so many awards, not just for her music and not just for her songwriting, but for her acting, for many, many things. And she is an amazing businesswoman who even has her own record label. Now, I mean, that's something that was unheard of 50 years ago, of women being able to achieve such great feats in the world. Yes, we might have appreciated they could sing, but we never certainly appreciated that women could go on and become entrepreneurs, and to be able to create their own record labels, and to have businesses that go far upon just having a dress shop or a hairdressing salon. Dolly's done it all. She's even got her own theme park. So, we take our hat off to you, Dolly, and we will always love you, Dolly. And that's one of the famous songs that was sung in the movie The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. So we're going to take our first call, and we're going to be talking with Jacqueline in Mackay here in Queensland, a fellow person from Queensland. How are you, Jacqueline?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, sweetie. Do you have a question for me?
Do you have any messages from my mother or my friend Dan?
Darling, I don't necessarily say that we can connect in such a short time like that. You know, connecting to the other side is something, if they choose to come through, they will. I prefer to work with a direct question, sweetie. We don't have a direct link to the other side to dial up who you wish to speak to.
Okay.
So do you have a question about your life?
Do you see any changes with my children?
Yeah, but you have to be a bit more specific because, you know, you've got to tell me that, you know, do you see any changes around my son Dylan who's 20 or so I can tune into that energy. You've got to appreciate we've got a very limited amount of time here, so I've got to get in quickly.
Now, do you feel a connection with me reconnecting with my daughter Kayla?
Okay. Not at the moment because Kayla sort of still is quite angry. She sort of feels it's all your fault, and I don't agree with that. I think she's probably a little bit more at fault here than anything. She's very stubborn, isn't she, Kayla?
She is very.
I mean, super stubborn, you know, like it's her way or no way. And at this point, she doesn't see she's not prepared to back down. So I suppose what I'm going to ask of you, Jacqueline, is just keep sending a positive energy. She will come back around when it suits her or when she wants something, but it's not just yet. I'm not seeing much before about June next year, unfortunately. Your mum's just come through and she just said to me she's a chip off the old block. Now, were you a little bit like Kayla when you were her age?
Possibly, yeah.
That's all Mum said. Yeah, Mum just said very matter of fact, chip off the old block.
That's
so I'm sort of feeling that Mum sort of knows exactly what's going on and she's not too concerned. I think Mum's sort of taken your daughter under her wing and sort of given her a bit of a rev, shall we say. You know, like that's not the way to treat your mother. So I think that's good. And going back to your friend Dan, she's just sort of smiling and laughing. So I don't know what she sees, why she sees this so funny, this situation between you and your daughter. Or is it history repeating itself? Has Anne seen this before?
Yes, yeah.
Because she's just smiling and
she's
passed, has she?
No, Dan is my friend Daniel. He's just recently passed, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. But who's the other female on the other side that was laughing?
My mother, Rhonda.
Possibly. I mean, I felt there was two females, though. If there's your mother, there's another female there that was younger than her.
I'm not sure.
So is that your mother's sister, your mother's cousin?
Mum
whoever she
does have
is,
sisters,
yeah, okay. Well, it's Mum and her younger sister because they're both sort of saying, well, you know, like the younger female was just sort of smiling and laughing and saying, well, we've seen all this before. You know what I mean? As if we're watching it again.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's nothing. I don't think they're playing. I don't think they're being rude to you. I think they're just trying to lighten the mood up and say, look, just be patient. It's all going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lovely to talk to you. We're going to talk to Crystal in Daytona Beach. Are you there, Crystal?
Hello.
Hi, Crystal. How can I help you tonight, sweetie?
Hi there, Amanda. I have two questions for you.
Right. Yes.
The first one is,
Fire away, sweetie.
Is my new career change good for my life path, or should I revert and continue with my prior one?
Okay. They're showing me that you need to give this new career, this new opportunity a little bit more time. I think the jury's still out on there. There's still question marks about it. I think that's more coming from you. You're questioning whether or not you've made the right choice. I actually feel it's going to grow into being the right situation for you. You wouldn't have walked away from the previous thing had you not felt it was time for a change. So I think we've just got to give it time to sort of cement itself in, bed in and become more a part of you. But I actually feel it's good for you. I think by the time we get to November, you're going to be so pleased you made the switch.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for that. And the second question that I have is, should I allow Kevin back into my life?
Okay. I mean, obviously that's still got to be your decision, Crystal, but can I say there's someone sort of knocking on the door from above and it's a female, so I don't know whether it's your mother or your grandmother, and she's sort of saying to me, how many more times do you need to be told?
Okay.
So that obviously means something to you, what I've just shared with you. She didn't say to me whether you should take him back or not. She just said, how many times do you need to be told? And then I had question mark, question mark, question mark. For me, I sort of feel from where I'm sort of coming from psychically, I don't think this journey between you and Kevin is finished yet. I feel that there's still more to go through or more to explore before we sort of come to either this is good or this is bad. But this person chimed in from heaven, from above, sort of saying, well, how many times do you need to be told? So I suppose we need to factor that in as well. But I feel for the moment, no, I don't believe it's over. Do I think it's got longevity on it forever and happily ever after? I doubt it very much, because I'm not sure that Kevin's strong enough for you, sweetie, in the right sort of ways. He seems to be a person that's like a project that we've got to keep working on.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you, Amanda.
That's all right, sweetie, but I hope that's helped you. But, at the end of the day, it's still your decision, and don't move forward until you feel 100% in your heart that it's the right thing to do. There's no race to get everything done by a certain time, darling.
Wonderful. Thank you for that as well, because I have been feeling a little bit pressured to make a decision, and realistically, I could probably take my time.
Absolutely you can, and that's what I think you should do, and put the major focus of your energy into your new job. The Kevin thing will just sort of flip-flop around like a ping-pong ball around you, and it'll find its own level, and that's where your energy's got to be in your new career at the moment, and then you'll just know one day, you'll get out of bed and you'll have the answer, and that's the way it should be.
Thank you for that good advice. I appreciate that.
Okay, sweetie, lovely to talk to you. We've come to the end of the show again. On next week's show, we'll have the Simply Tarot card of the week, the candle of the week, and we'll also be having a quick trip around the universe. Next week, we're going to be looking at our famous Aquarian male singer. It'll be somebody that everybody will sort of know. So I hope you can join us again next week, and bye for now.